Happy Monday, Minties. This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and today I'm going to be doing an overview of these 3 Darkstalkers hardcovers from Udon, so please stay tuned. Okay, now before I get started, I do want to thank the folks at Udon for sending us review copies of these books. So let's start with Darkstalkers and talk a little bit about what this is. Then we'll look at Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers, and then the official complete works. So here we have Darkstalkers Rise of the Night Warriors. And before I go any further, this was previously released in like little small graphic novel size collections. They originally came out in comic book single issues. Then it was released in trade paperbacks, and then there was this collection right here. This is Darkstalkers The Ultimate, completes first and second series. The issues with these, like the original Street Fighter complete collections, is that they were glued binding. I'm not sure if you can tell. There we go. So as you can tell, the original printing had glued binding. It's a soft cover. And I had issues with my Street Fighter books. That's why I upgraded to the hardcovers. So these hardcovers are an amazing way to collect them. They have sewn binding, and they also have an inner spine that I'll show here in a little bit, so you can have that flex, and there's no gutter loss, as well as the book feels like it's not going to come apart like those early days of trade paperback softcover collected editions. So this right here is Darkstalkers. And if you don't know what Darkstalkers is, I'll give you just a quick little brief history, and that is, it's based on a video game that originally came out in Japan known as Vampire. And Vampire had a sequel that was called Vampire the Night Warriors. And Vampire originally came out in Japan in 1994. It was called Vampire the Night Warrior. Then there was a sequel in 1995 called Vampire Hunter Darkstalkers Revenge. That was known here in America as Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge. You know, back in the day, we used to flip the names around a little bit when we had titles from Japan that, for some reason, the publishers didn't think would do well in America because the title isn't as good. Like Samurai Showdown, for example, was originally Samurai Spirits. But anyway, back to this. And then there was a third video game, I believe a couple years later. I can't remember the exact year that came out. And that was called Vampire Savior. And there were like 3 different versions. There have been updated HD remakes of them. But if you can tell, it's set in this gothic horror world. So it is Capcom, the same people that did Street Fighter, Mega Man, Street Fighter Alpha, and then of course the Capcom versus Marvel games. But all the characters in this game are just based on those gothic horror stories. You have vampires, you have mummies, you have werewolves, creatures from the Black Lagoon, and cat people. And then, of course, you have the vampire hunter, Donovan. So that's what Darkstalkers is really quick. You have beautiful artwork here by Alvin Lee, by the way. Now, I remember the first time I saw Udon Studios, it was in issues of Deadpool, like the original Deadpool run, when Gail Simone took over. They had Joe Mad being inked by Arnold Sang for covers. That was, I think, in the Taskmaster miniseries. But then I saw their internal artwork in Deadpool, and I was like, I don't care where these guys are. I need to follow them. And then they announced they were doing a Street Fighter comic. And from there, it spun off into a Darkstalkers comic. So this particular volume was released late last year, and it kind of serves as a 25th anniversary. Let's look in the back here for extras of the Darkstalkers Night Warriors video games. All the extras are in the back here, including all the little mini stories and all the covers, all the variant covers, all the covers to the trade paperbacks. Lots of popular artists that you may have followed have done artwork for Udon, such as Joe Mad, Mark Brooks, Jeffrey Scott Campbell, Scotty Young, just to name a few. These were the beautiful power foil covers. So this book has 256 pages and then collects the original first 2 series, as well as all the little mini stories and the extras back here. Now let's look at the next book. So here is Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers. This is the mini series. I believe it's only 8 issues, but it had a 0 issue. And this collects every single one of those, along with the mini stories that they have in the back and all the variant covers. I love the way that these are collected in the chronological order of the story, not necessarily the way that the comic book was released. So you'll have like a little mini story that might have appeared in issue 7 all the way at the beginning, and then so on and so forth. So this also has 256 pages. Dang, there's my girl Chun-Li from her Street Fighter V outfits. And let's see, beautiful artwork again by Udon Studios. So you had the original Darkstalkers that I showed earlier, and that is all written by Ken Siu-Chong, who returns to write these stories here. There's about a 10-year difference between these two books, by the way. The original one had artwork by Arnold Song, and as well as Alvin Lee. This one has artwork by Edwin Huang and Hanzo Steinbeck. Those are pretty much the two lead artists on this, and of course all the little mini stories are done by different kind of artists. So you have the characters from Night Warriors fighting the characters from Street Fighter, and just looking at this makes me wish that they actually had made a video game like this. Yes, I realized that the Marvel vs. Capcom or Capcom vs. SNK games always have, you know, some kind of character from Night Warriors fighting, what was the Capcom Fighting Jam? Fighting characters from Street Fighter, but this just solely to have Street Fighter versus the Night Warriors, oh, that would be so awesome. So it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar characters that at least I grew up with, and then, you know, these are newer versions of the character from Street Fighter V, and then all the updates that we've had on Street Fighter V. Let's look at here in the extras. So a few more extras, but I didn't want to show all of them. I love these homage covers to classic horror movies. Here's all the femme characters, or all the female versions of the Street Fighter and Night Warrior characters. You also have artists that have worked on the video games come and do covers as well. I thought that was a really cool thing. They've been doing that from the beginning. Man, that is awesome. Love that cover. Yeah, these are great. I love these collections. I love these these covers right here too. And some of the variant covers are in between the issues too. As I mentioned, 256 pages. And then we're going to look at this book really quick. And here we have Darkstalkers, the official complete works. This one is $44.95. That's the retail price. The other two hardcovers are $49.95. This has the artwork from the video games. There's also a tribute to Darkstalkers that has like fan art. But this is mainly the original artist that worked on the video game, just drawing artwork for their characters. And there are some very talented artists in here too. Yes, I remember all of these. This reminds me, hold on. So this is the graphic file. It came out a few years ago. I want to say about 7, 8, 9 years ago. And this just has pretty much the character designs from the first 3 games. And I wonder if they'll be in here. So let's find out together, because this is a lot thinner, and this book was like $35, I want to say. But it was published into English by Udon. I love the fact that I'm not going to flip through every page, that they translate every single one of these Capcom art books. It used to be such a pain. Yeah, okay, so it looks like the graphic files are all collected in here. It used to be such a pain, and I know I'm not the only one. If you watch my channel, you know that I love art books, and it was such a pain, heck, even 10 years ago, to import some of these art books, because, you know, people didn't know there was such a high demand for them. And now I think Udon is one of those studios that actually knows, hey, fans want to see some of this artwork. They want to see some of these sketches, these behind the scenes, these character developments, or how you start off from one character and then end up making Donovan, for example. There's John Talbane. I love these kind of books that just have behind the scenes sketches, character designs, like even characters that don't show up in the video game. I'm a huge fan of Mega Man, and I have all those. And I know, say, like, there's the original Cienko designs, but I know I've asked on the channel before, let me know in those comments if you also like art books like this. And I know you all have been wanting to see, like, my favorite 10 art books that I own, and I can still do that. Damn, that is a badass Donovan. I assume it's Donovan. It looks like Donovan. Donovan was my main in Night Warriors, and then, of course, I used Dimitri until Donovan came about. Then in Vampire Savior, I can't remember, I used the Honeybee girl. Bee Honey, I think was her name. So here's Darkstalkers Resurrection. So this shows artwork. I want to say that's Art Germ, if I'm not mistaken, who does covers now for Marvel and DC. Stanley Lau. I got to meet him at Chicago last year. So this is the Resurrection, and Resurrection was pretty much a collection in HD. Came out on the PlayStation 3, I think. I don't own it because it was only available in Japan. And here's some more. Oh, okay. Graphics from Pocket Fighter. I'm glad they included that. Red Earth and Warzard. Yeah. Just looking through here, man, brings back memories of going to the arcade. I remember the first time I saw Vampire Savior. I can make a whole damn episode about that. I remember how just crazy it was, like seeing it and then fighting other people that were into the same game that I was. I miss those days. I miss those days of just going to the arcade and trying out. Every time we go, there was a new machine. There's Jedi. He was introduced in Vampire Savior, the third game. Of course, I think most people are probably familiar with Morrigan from this series because she's kind of going on. And one thing I didn't say is that I wonder if this is it. They also did OVAs. Yes, the Night Warriors. This is the anime. They also did 2 OVAs, and those are original video animations that came straight to video in Japan, and then they were released here in America by Viz Studios, as well as I think there was an ongoing TV show, if I'm not mistaken, but that was done by an American studio, so I don't think it was anything like this. But and as I mentioned, the paper quality is this thick, glossy paper. All the books are hardcover and are sewn binding. But what you want to see is that flex of that inner spine right there. There's all the bunches. I'm sure you can tell all the page bunches coming together with the sewn binding so that when you open it up, there is no gutter loss. Now, these books are still in print, and you can purchase them from our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you Minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the build, the page count, and the contents of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a fan of Darkstalkers or Street Fighter, the fighting games, or if you've been purchasing Udon books since day one, like myself. I'm a huge fan of their stuff, and I know there's a lot of people out there that enjoy their comics and their art books. At this moment, I just want to remind you all to hit that like button if you haven't yet, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. We put out videos every day, sometimes twice a day. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you again for watching, and remember, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love to you all.